everyone, this is Shweta. Today is 10th October and we observe this day as World Mental Health Day. But Mother's Day, Father's Day, Teachers Day या बाकी सभी डेज के जैसे इस दिन के बारे में हम कुछ जानते ही नहीं है. इवन बहुत से लोगों ने तो मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में कुछ सुना ही नहीं है. मेंटल हेल्थ क्या है हमें ये भी नहीं पता. तो आज की इस वीडियो में हम जानेंगे मेंटल हेल्थ डे से जुड़ी कुछ बातें और फिर हम बात करेंगे साइकोलॉजिस्ट से जो हमारी हेल्प करेंगे टू अंडरस्टैंड मेंटल हेल्थ एंड रिलेटेड इश्यूज. सो दिस डे वाज फर्स्ट सेलिब्रेटेड इन 1992 at the initiative of World Federation for Mental Health, a global mental health organization with members and contacts in more than 150 countries. WHO also supports World Mental Health Day through raising awareness on mental health issues. Now the questions are, what is mental illness, what is mental health, what's the difference between the two and what we should do. ऐसे ही बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस के आंसर हमें मिलेंगे साइकोलॉजिस्ट मनीषा शर्मा से, जो कि सर्टिफाइड एनएलपी प्रैक्टिशनर, करियर काउंसलर एंड हिप्नोथेरापी एक्सपर्ट भी हैं. तो चलिए बात करते हैं मनीषा से.
So Manisha, welcome to my channel Let's Learn with Shweta Gupta. As we all know, today is World Mental Health Day. So we are here to talk about mental health and mental health related issues.
Thank you for inviting me, Shweta. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a topic which must be spoken often in our day-to-day lives, and I am more than glad to be a part of this because I'm very passionate about the field of mental health and spreading awareness about it.
So without wasting time, I'm directly coming to my question. What mental health is actually?
So mental health, it's not very different from physical health. When we talk about health, it's very unfortunate that we have divided it, because it's in a healthy body resides a healthy mind, and it's equally true that with a healthy mind we can achieve a healthy body. So we need to understand that they are interrelated. That's because your brain is inside your body, so ultimately it is the same thing. And obviously if you're taking care of your mental health, then you would be able to take better care of your physical health. A very important thing to be done on our day-to-day basis, and something that everybody should be much aware about. There is no issue, because a lot of people don't want to talk about mental health because they probably feel that they're mentally weak, or people are calling them weaker, or somebody would actually think that they're not stable, which is not true. Mental health definitely is not about mental illness, right? So mental health is an aspect of health, and we need to look at it in that angle only, because everybody has it. So not having mental health is an issue, but mental health itself is not an issue, right?
Mental health is not an issue. Not having mental health is an issue.
Right, absolutely.
So my next question is, we have mental health and mental illness. So what's the significance and what's the difference?
Right. So this is like, as I was saying, this is something that people confuse with that, they confuse mental health equivalent to mental illness, which is not true, because, we have to remove the word mental from that and then look at it as health versus illness. So when we are talking about illnesses, it could be any illness, right? A physical illness is also an illness which is related to mental health is also an illness, right? But when we're talking about health, we're not talking about that, somebody who's having a mental health issue, let's say, okay, that somebody is not able to concentrate properly, or somebody is feeling confused, or somebody is not able to remember things, right? Those are very, very, they're related issues, right? They could or could not point out at a major mental illness, right? They may just be plain issues. It's like, I may have a headache, right? And then it could be that I suffer from a brain disease or a tumor, right? They're two different things, right? So
Yeah.
but just by having headache, we can't say that, we have an illness, right? It could be some health related issue. Similarly, when we're talking about mental health, we or if we talk about certain issues related to mental health, that as a person is not motivated enough, or the person doesn't see a lot of hope, and then unless there are larger symptoms, we can't call it a disease, we can't call it an illness, right? So we need to understand that mental taking care of mental health is not equivalent to having a mental illness. That is a clarity that people must have, right? So illness would be something that which is a major problem. Somebody is suffering with depression, somebody is suffering with anxiety spectrum disorders, or somebody is suffering with something even more critical like schizophrenia, or some other severe mental condition. So there could be different illnesses, but having mental health or taking care of your mental health does not mean that you would definitely have an illness, right? So when you have, let's say, I'm feeling extremely stressed and I would want to take a break, I would want to not go to work, or just rejuvenate myself, meditate a bit, or relax, let's say take a vacation, right? All that I'm doing to de-stress myself does not mean that I have an illness. It just means that I'm taking care of my mental health so that my stress levels don't spike up to that level where, I encounter an illness, or where my stress levels don't take me to a level of having panic attacks, right? So we need to be very careful about our mental health so that we can, prevent ourselves from getting any mental illness.
So it's clear that we should take breaks while working.
Definitely.
So our next question is, what should we do for our mental health? Taking breaks only is enough, or further we should do something else also?
No, I think it's as good as taking care of your physical health. Like, we don't just stop by eating good food or just by exercising. We need to take things hand in hand, right? When we are talking about taking care of our mental health, we would need to do things which would give, which are good in terms of taking care of your mental hygiene, right? So regular exercising is not just good for your body, but it's equally good for your mind, for your brain, right? Then meditation is something that that helps you find your center, stay calm. Now a lot of people talk about that meditation is a difficult process, we can't sit very still, the mind keeps racing. So there are different forms. Like if you ask a person the who's trained in meditation, or if you ask a counselor who can help you understand different forms of meditation, you would know that meditation is not just sitting down quietly and not having any thought in your mind. That's just one of it, right? There could be many other ways of doing meditations. There could be guided meditations, there could be sometimes chanting process, there could just be focusing on your breath, right? So there could be multiple processes of meditation that you can learn to suit you. It's meditation is again, it's not a one size fits all. So you need to be very sure, and not every person will have good results with meditation. So you have to be very selective also. So some people with severe mental illnesses can have adverse effects of meditation. So you have to be very careful about that as well. But then, yes, for in general, if you do not suffer from any illness, definitely meditation is one way. Journaling is another way that that helps you vent out on day-to-day basis. You're putting out your emotions, you not just keep storing them. Then definitely like we spoke, that taking breaks, but not just the vacation breaks, but also small breaks while you're working, or while you are studying. You take short breaks just for a breather or two, sit down, do some breathing exercises, calm yourself down. So those could be things that we could use to maintain a good mental hygiene. And also they could be, there could be multiple things based on what a person's requirement is. We could customize. So definitely, if you have any issues related to mental health, if you feel you are extensively stressed, or if you feel that you're having symptoms like, like I was suggesting, brain fog or concentration issues, memory issues, feeling overwhelmed very quickly, unable to manage your emotions, having crisis in any of your relationships, right? Be it with your parents, or be it with your partner, be it with your children. So if you have things which are constantly straining your mind and you're not able to handle it by yourself, it's always in your best interest to seek professional help, right? So you don't need to always go to a hospital and see a clinical psychologist per se. You can go to a counselor, somebody who's dealing with people, dealing with relationships, dealing with issues. You could go to a psychologist who can also help you in the in the coaching process, because a lot of times inability to choose a good career could be a form of could be a reason for your stress, right? So when you seek proper professional advice, it definitely is far more beneficial than just talking to your peers or just talking to your family members or friends, right? Because see, if I go to my family members with a relationship issue, they'll have a very biased opinion about it, right?
Maybe, maybe.
They would just think that probably either way, so they would try to take biases based on their belief system. So in a patriarchal home, they would say, oh, no, 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 the husband's always right, you go and do whatever the person is saying. In a place which is very liberal maybe, and if you have a very happy, healthy bonding with your parents, they might just feel that no, my child is perfect. The problem is in the other person. So you need to go and seek advice where you may not have any biases. If I'm going and talking to my friends about my boss, my friend might just say, oh yeah, you my friend, you're my favorite, and I'm always going to be supportive of you, right? So they may not be able to guide me how to build a better bond with my boss, or how to build a better bond with my partner. So whatever the relationship issue I'm going with, right? So we need, therefore, professional advice is always important, right? In terms of career advice, parents would just say, no, this career is good because you have more earning opportunities in this particular career. However, they won't be able to guide you correctly in the way that okay, this is what is your strength, these are your interests, this is where the two align, and this is out of the whole bracket of kind of careers that can suit you, we could pick up from this because this suits your personality and your skills better. So therefore a professional advice is far more important. So after you maintain your hygiene, and if you still have issues, seek professional advice instead of just chit chatting with peers and family. Of course, that's equally important. You need to have healthy relationship, you need to be emotionally connected and communicative with your family. That is also part of being emotionally healthy. But when it comes to seeking the advice, take it from a professional.
So, basic mantra is talk. Talk, talk, talk. Talk a lot to your family, to your peers, to your friends. किसी से भी बात करो, बस बात करो। और फिर भी अगर आपको कहीं पर कुछ प्रॉब्लम लगती है तो जाकर एक्सपर्ट से हेल्प लो, बट डोंट कीप इट विद यू।
Right.
टॉक अ लॉट।
Right. I would like
So
to
next
add
question is
about. I would like to add,
right.
because you're talking about talking here. I would like to add that a lot of people say कि आप बात करो, but with mental health, sometimes if it is an issue with the mental illness, let's say somebody is depressed, right? तो वो इंसान कभी भी आगे बढ़कर आपसे बात नहीं कर पाएगा, right? So
Right.
therefore we as a society need to also be more vigilant. हमें और ज्यादा अवेयर होना पड़ेगा. अगर हमारे सर्कल में, हमारी फैमिली में, फ्रेंड्स में, कॉलीग्स में कोई ऐसा है जिसमें हमें साइंस दिख रहे हैं, लेट्स से ऑफ डिप्रेशन, ऑफ एंजाइटी, और अगर वो इंसान हमें अप्रोच नहीं कर पा रहा, इफ दे आर नॉट open enough, or if they are not even in that frame of mind to be able to talk, तो फिर ये हमारी responsibility बनती है that we reach out to people. You know, let's say if somebody in our friend circle has suddenly disappeared and wasn't that person, then we know that's a red flag, right? So that's very, very important that we also reach out as a society. Not just that when we have an issue, we reach out to people, but also if we feel somebody else has an issue, we need to reach out to that person, talk to them, try to get it out from them, or try to guide them to take professional help.
मतलब हमारी भी साथ में रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बन जाती है कि हम साइलेंस को भी सुने. अगर कहीं पर कोई
Definitely.
चुप है तो हमें उसको भी सुनना आना चाहिए. एज अ सोसाइटी इट्स आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू टेक केयर ऑफ not only our mental health, others also.
Definitely.
Red flag, as you said. So the next question is, what are the red flags we should be careful about?
Okay. So there are several red flags, whether it is about our own mental health or whether it is about other people's mental health. I'll start with us. You know, because जैसे कि प्लेन में कहते हैं कि पहले अपना ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगाइए फिर दूसरे की मदद कीजिए. So it's very important that you know, we take good care of our mental health so that we are able to take care of people around us also. Right? So when we are saying that, what could be the red flag? So let's say if I am feeling you know, emotion, if I'm going through a certain stressful period in my life, and if I'm starting to feel extremely hopeless about it, okay, and if I'm feeling that, you know, I wouldn't want to talk to people, if I'm feeling issues, like, you know, so usually those things I might just neglect. But then there could also be certain alert things. So maybe concentration is one. You know, if I'm working and I'm not able to concentrate on my work, if I am having issues with the memory, let's say, you know, I went into my room to pick up something, but when I'm in the room, I'm forgetting what it is. Right? Those are the kind of red flags, and I think a lot of people nowadays do have it, which means, so these are the things which are actually signs that your stress levels are really high. Okay. Then constant fatigue is another sign, right? So your mind is so tired that there is no energy for your body left, right? So difficulty working, difficulty maintaining relationships, all these could be the red flags. Racing thoughts, panic attacks. You know, a lot of people don't know much about panic attacks. It's not just always breathing issues. You know, so mostly in televisions they display that panic attacks are more like person is unable to breathe and stuff. But sometimes panic attacks are just you know, a situation where the person is unable to manage their thoughts. So they are getting racing thoughts, they're getting heart palpitations. People confuse it with heart disease, you know. So a lot of times I've seen people first go to cardiologist before going to a psychiatrist, because they're getting palpitations, they're getting sweaty palms, they're getting you know, dizzy, and they feel it's probably a heart disease they have got, but actually it's, you know, anxiety and related issues. So we need to be careful about those. We need to be more aware, we need to learn more about these things. And any problem, so any problem that you're encountering which is affecting your daily functioning, you know, something that's making you dysfunctional in whatever capacity, so if you're able to see that, observe it yourself, then you know, you need to take that as a red flag and try and get some help around it. If you see the same in other people, if you're observant enough to be you know, able to understand people around you and see that somebody else is having these kind of symptoms, if you see that somebody is, you know, staying too isolated, They are not trying to mingle with you, or they are not trying to reach out to you, and you feel that there is some change in their behavior, there is a change in their personality, then those are all red flags that we need to be careful about, because it could be a minor, mental health issue, but it could also be a severe mental illness, right? So we need to be very vigilant about the red flags.
My next question is, as we all can see, pandemic affects our mind, body, soul, everything. It's affecting everything almost. So how it's affecting our mental health?
Okay. Now, anything that is affecting our, day-to-day being, right, is definitely going to have an impact on our mental health. We usually take it for granted, right? Or we just say that no, we should be just strong enough to face everything in life. Yes, we should be strong, but that does not necessarily mean that it is going to always be the same, right? Our capacity change. So maybe it's like a tension tolerance level. So if something is, let's say, even if it is a very tight rope, right, it might wear off if it is constantly under stress, right? So a very strong rope will also wear off and break in between if there is a lot of tension from both ends, and it's not able to bear that tension. So what we need to do is, like I said, apart from maintaining hygiene and if required seeking professional help, we need to also understand and come to an acceptance that we are human beings. It's okay for us to make an error. It's okay for us to not always be strong. Sometimes I can just break down and cry out loud, and this stands true for boys also. Now, what has pandemic done is it has taken away so many jobs. It has put people, it has confined people, right? And we're not used to of that. We are not used. We even if we are a society which is civilized enough to live in houses and get back and stay with the family, we are not used to of 24/7 living with the family, right? We are also not used to of living all by ourselves. So a lot of people who are away from their home, living in the metros, and they're working here, and during this period of lockdown, they were completely isolated from the rest of the world. They were locked up in their small apartments, right? And so they were all alone. So that is a challenge. And then living all the time with your family, wherein different personalities having different issues, different coping mechanisms, living together all the time can have a lot of clashes, right? So different things have had different impact on people. And we would need, like, obviously in a family, if people are having issues, it also highlights that we are not yet comfortable living with the family. So there's a bonding issue that reflects. So that's the issue it highlights, that we haven't really bonded well. We haven't really lived so many years that we've lived before this pandemic. We never thought about how we can cordially live together, right? And we have neither prepared ourselves to live in isolation. So this is a very important aspect that the pandemic brought forward. Then the financial stress. So people losing their jobs, they still have bills to pay. So even when the governments issued directives to the banks that they can allow grace period to people, that does not mean that the amount will be waived off, but the income is definitely not there, right? So even whenever they have to pay the piled up amount also, but the income that is lost in those months is lost completely, right? There's so many people who would have probably started, because we were becoming Atmanirbhar Bharat, and people would have started their businesses, right? So the Atmanirbhar slogan though came during this, but there was a lot of promotion of small and medium scale industries by our prime minister, and everybody was thinking that we should start our own business. And a lot of people started their small scale businesses and home ventures and stuff. And definitely during the period of lockdown, that all of them suffered, with no income flow. And obviously they had their inventory. So there was a lot of stress amongst people, and I feel that more than anything else, the financial stress during the pandemic has contributed immensely, towards people's mental health issue. It has triggered different issues, and we need to be more empathetic and supportive, and contributing towards the people around us, so that we could help them, in the day to day, to whatever capacity that we can, right? Of course, I don't suggest that we do it by putting a hole in our own pockets, but at least try and help people. And even if you can't do that, even if you can't support somebody financially, help people emotionally. Talk to them, at least tell them that they're not alone. That small conversation of 10 minutes might just help someone sail through this difficult process, right? So pandemic definitely impacted us at different levels, at the social level, with the interactions between people, the financial levels, that's the businesses, and definitely the emotional level, because it has shaken us up really.
So my last question is, what can we do? What should we do to maintain a good mental health?
Okay, so to maintain a good mental health, like I said, we need to maintain a good mental hygiene. We need to keep our minds clear, and we need to develop, strong coping mechanisms to handle stress, because we cannot miss out. Like, we can't say that we can have a stress free life, because it's not just the emotional stress that I'm talking about right now. I'm also talking about, environmental stress. So there could be certain things that you can control. Maybe you can choose to be a minimalist, and you can have a very, minimalistic lifestyle, and you can be satisfied. But despite that, your mind and body will be affected by the stressors that are around. So there's noise pollution, there's air pollution, there's water and food pollution, right? So there are so many issues that are there. So sorry, just give me a minute. So as I said, that there are so many issues that are there, in the world right now. So you can't just say that, okay, a stress-free life is 100% possible. So you need to have certain coping mechanisms. So on a daily basis, if I'm trying to, strengthen my lungs, let's say, by doing regular breathing exercises, by doing physical activity, and, to strengthen my lungs and have more oxygen in my body, then definitely we will be able to take down some level of the environmental stress from our body, which is anyways going to affect our mind. And similarly, when we're doing the breathing exercise, we are also calming our mind, which is obviously, then the mind is helping the body to sustain good health. So maintaining a good mental health hygiene is very, very important. We need to, write journals. We need to find some hobby pursuits that can help us, explore and enhance our creativity, and definitely connect strongly, and with people who are not toxic to us. That's very important. A lot of times people are extremely stressed because they are in very toxic relationships. So if we feel that we are in one, then we need to also make sure that we are, emotionally making ourselves strong enough to walk out of a toxic.
Thank you, Manisha, for giving us your valuable time and this important information about mental health. आई होप ये वीडियो देखने के बाद आप भी समझ गए होंगे कि मेंटल हेल्थ भी उतनी ही इम्पोर्टेंट है जितनी कि फिजिकल हेल्थ.
Thank you for making me a part of this.
मनीषा की डिटेल्स आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दी गई है. सो that's all for today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon right next to it to get notification of new video.